So on this business trip, I scored a Lincoln Mkz. It's a fun story how I got that. I personally do not like the way the vehicle looks from the exterior. It's not bad, it's just not my style. But I do like the interior a lot. This car is definitely all about the interior and the performance as compared to, at least performance compared to what I'm used to. I think Lincoln has got some work to do to catch up with Cadillac. That's my opinion. First thing that tripped me out was the key fob on this thing. I kept looking down here, over here, kind of looking all over to figure out where the push buttons were. Coming to find out, they're integrated into the dash right here. Put your foot on the brake. So it's like a really old transmission system. You've got reverse, neutral, drive. So reverse gives you a backup cam. Drive puts you right into drive. Off you go. But it was confusing as hell trying to figure out where the heck is the start on this car when I first got in. So word to the wise, it's actually really cool once you get used to it, but if you're like me, I drive a 2002, I'm used to the shifter column. It's not there. So let's go take it for a spin, see what we think. Alright, so one of the things I don't like initially using it with the stereo is it does have a forward and backward button on the steering wheel and also on the dash, so you can go forward and backward in your tracks, but there's no play pause button. So if I'm going down the road, I can hit mute, which is handy, that kills all the radio. But if I just want to stop the music and I still want to leave my navigation on, I don't have that option. I have to either skip song or hit mute, and mute also will kill your navigation audio. So that's a little bit of a gripe, but you know, minor, but at the same time it would be really nice just to have a play pause button. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some of the things that I like about this car for starts. As with a lot of the newer cars, I drive a 2002 truck. I like the steering wheel on a lot of vehicles with all the different options you have. Once you get used to it, when you first get in and you're using it, it can be a little disorienting. The mute button is handy, and the volume controls and all that good stuff. So pretty decent steering wheel, and it feels good in the hand. This car is fun to drive on these twisty roads. Good responsive motor, and the handling is quite nice. It's just superb for a vehicle like this. The more I drive this particular car, the more I like it. It's too bad the interior doesn't mesh with the exterior, because I don't really care for the exterior, as I said. But as you can see, I'm having a little blast. Of course, it helps I'm in California, driving through hill country, which is just to die for if you like driving through rocky roads and all that kind of fun stuff. I think the only thing better than that is going through Colorado. Alright, similar to the Chevy Cruze, I don't think the engineers intended this, but it's definitely something I like. My iPhone sits really nicely in the cigarette holder right there. So when I'm running map apps or anything like that, I can just set it right there, and it works out marvelously. So again, engineers, I'm sure that's not what you planned, but winning. Excellent work, guys. All in all, one of the things that I like is the sync system in Ford, in this case Lincoln vehicles. The sync works pretty good. I think the Kia, I've used that one, and I had a love-hate relationship with it. And this one's not bad. Like I said, it's not the sync's fault, but I do think it needs a play pause button on here, but it does have the option up there, and once you get used to the interface, it's not bad. But one thing I will say about the interface, to compare it to, say, Chevy and the Cruze that I've used as well, that the interface visually looks a little better, but when you're driving down the road, it's a little clunky to look at. So I kind of wish it was way intuitive and simplified from where it is right now. That's something they could fix in the future, but for the moment, as of right now, I'm not terribly happy with that. On the other hand, you'd compare it with like the Chevy and the Chevy system, and that one in the Cruze, which is another vehicle that I did a review on. That one felt outdated, but it was very user-friendly compared to this one. So outdated, user-friendly, new and hip, not so user-friendly. So yeah, take your pick. If you use it enough and you buy one of these, you'll get used to it. But on the fly, learning as I go here in the day or two that I got this car, I'm not terribly impressed with the user interface, but I like the overall effect. For example, it plays songs as soon as I get into the car. I start it up and it just picks up and starts playing the playlist from where I left off last. So that's kind of handy. None of the other vehicles I've had have done that. I think Mazda might do it, but yeah. So that's my take on Sync. All in all, good. Just needs a little bit of refinement, but they're always working on those kind of things. Now, another one of my gripes, and I think it's mostly just me. I don't think everybody is going to experience this, but I like having a center console. It's really kind of a cool feature. But my knees are always hitting the sides, and they never make these things soft enough, in my opinion. This one's better than most. The side over here is considerably softer, but you got hard plastic over on the door side. And so when you're driving on long road trips like I do for these trips, your knee rests right against that, and it gets annoying after a while. I kind of wish that they would like put some kind of like memory foam under leather or something like that under these locations, because it just gets freaking annoying. That said, this particular console has a really cool feature, which I'll show in a little bit. Basically has extra space underneath it for storage, so that's kind of handy. But at the same time, I still kind of like wish that there wasn't a console, because my knees would get against it. I'm only 5'10". I'm not terribly tall, average. So, and if I don't have space, I don't think a person who's exceedingly tall, well over 6 foot, is going to find this vehicle fun to sit in for long road trips. Not that long road trips are ever fun unless it's roads like these. Gotta love California. Now, I know I gripe on almost all the vehicles about the center console, but the interior of this vehicle, for the most part, is really awesome. There's some stuff that I don't like in the dash. Again, it's always right here that I'm not a fan of. But all in all, the entire interior is great. It feels nice, feels like really good quality, and just the seats are really comfortable. I can't. The only thing I wish is the lumbar support was a little more adjustable. It doesn't have a whole lot of range on that, but it might be just this model. But all in all, I mean, the interior is just really nice. They really did a good job with the interior on this, as long as you're not taking into account the controls. Okay, one of the things that I don't like, I'm a little old school about this, is I like analog controls. I like to be able to turn the dial really quick, and I feel like the thermal touch controls that they're putting in cars now don't have the same responsiveness. And I know the engineers would be like, but there's a mute button right there. Well, I'm sorry, man. It's nice to be able to just turn it down, not, on the fly. And as nice as it is having it in the steering wheel, it actually kind of feels better just to reach here real quick and then go back to what you're doing, because you're not taking your eyes off the wheel if you got a great big dial, kind of like they have in the Chevys. Also, all the thermal controls for the vehicle, the AC, the heat, they're all the same kind of touch. So it's a real light touch you have to have. And fault me for this, I'm a man, I kind of like pushing a button. I like the physical reactiveness of a push button or a dial. And this vehicle doesn't have it. It works great. It's just I prefer a physical button, a physical dial. I know that's something that's going to wear, but I'm sure the thermal the thermal devices will wear too eventually. So that's my take on it. It works great. It's just my personal take. If you're the kind of person that likes a vehicle that has physical buttons, this may not be the right pick on this console. So one of the things I like about this car that doesn't immediately jump out at you is the fact, even though I don't like the consoles in general, it's got extra storage space here and here. That is pretty cool, actually. A lot of consoles just have a dead spot there, so you can get a little bit of stuff in there that you don't normally use but you want to have with you. And then up here, the wires actually stick out right through that location there. And there's plugs down inside there. I don't know if they'll show up on the video, but they're there. So the interior on this vehicle is really pretty nice. I really dig the interior, which, I mean, if you're buying a premium car, you should get a good interior. So this is definitely a nice vehicle from the interior. I I have a lot of fun with this car. So here's another new one for me. Instead of having a screw gas cap, it's got a push button, so you just grab your gas and it locks on. It's actually kind of cool. I think.
Remember, folks, these are my thoughts, not yours, and they're worth precisely what you paid for them.